Hey, welcome to EPS ParaTalk. I'm Robert, and
I'm Janie.
Freddie, hello everybody.
Freddie's always got that delay thing.
I
That
know.
delay is always that pause.
Just gonna wait a moment or two, let people jump on. How are you doing today? While I go ahead and stop you from multitasking there, Freddie.
I am doing fantastic. Other than the snow, I'm not a big
not a big-
snow cold person, but
Not a fan of it.
other than that, I'm good. How about you, Janie?
I'm good.
You sure about that?
I am.
Okay.
If the weather would warm up, I would
Samantha.
be great. Right now, I'm good. Hi, Sam. If the weather would warm up, I'd be great. But for now, I'm good.
Rob, how about you, sir?
I'm doing
Hi,
well. Thank you
Jeremy.
very much. Appreciate it. Jeremy, thank you, sir.
Let me-
Awesomeness.
Let me get some chairs out here.
Well, we got some interesting topics we'll be talking about today. By far, we'll see if we can't go ahead and light a match under some people. Some mentality,
Get some
change of thinking.
conversations started.
Yes, definitely.
Probably tick some people off.
It's possible.
Yes, we do, Jeremy. Absolutely. He said we definitely need warmer weather.
Yeah. Warmer weather won't hurt. It's a little
Would
bit.
not hurt my feelings.
It's funny because I don't like the cold weather, but we've had some really neat situations that have happened, and even when we were outside in the snow,
Yep.
to have it happen. Like with the flashlights, you'll hear people talk about how it's the heat, and we've been out at 14 degrees. Surprised the batteries even lasted at that point, but we've had a hell of a flashlight session, even in 14-degree weather,
Yeah.
outside, exposed to the elements, and yet they would come on and go off
Yep.
within that 10-second window that we're looking for. And
Yep.
that to me is awesome. Theo, thanks for being on, buddy. Appreciate it very much.
Hi, Theo.
We're doing well. Trying to stay warm, looking for that warm weather to come back, which we're starting to get a
Praying for it. I actually took
tease
a little
about.
mini trip yesterday to Bowling Green, Virginia, and it was 68 degrees. It was glorious.
Thank you for sharing us out. Freddie's doing the same right now. He's not trying to be excluding. He's just trying to help share this video. Anybody that shares, thank you so much. We appreciate that.
Yes, we do.
Just again, when we do these lives, the whole point is to try to help promote some of the information that we have learned. We are not infallible. I have personally screwed up so many times, and I will continue to do so in the future. It's just, if we can cut down your time of wasted time
Right.
and help you go ahead and learn a little bit, it's a win-win. And we learn from you guys. That's why we love to network, you guys being on with us.
Absolutely. We get questions sometimes that we never even thought about, and then we take the time to research it a little further and delve into it a little more. So we learn from you guys too all the time.
We were just talking before the show, actually, and again, it's an eye-opener with the paranormal, and we were talking about science and everything else. But if you just go to the physical facts, people get into a situation where you get into. It's not Tourette's. Chantel, thanks for being on. These tiny little gnats we have in here. He's not beating himself up for real.
I think I about ate it.
At first, I thought he was swinging at me. I was like,
I saw out of the corner of my eye, here he is swinging on himself. I'm like, oh, let me explain that first.
My apologies, people.
But physically, we get challenged by people about what's real, what's not real. And if you actually ever take the time to sink it into somebody's mind, what do we see? Now, we know there is actually, and we're just talking about light. Let's talk about something that science has proven we already know exists, like the full spectrum, the infrared, portions of the light spectrum itself overall. How much of the light spectrum do we actually see?
right.
And this is color. This is something that is, and this is a healthy person. There are people that have an issue with the cones in their eyes, and they might be colorblind. And saying that they're colorblind doesn't mean necessarily that they only see either color or black and white. Some people are colorblind to a specific color, especially most popular blue. It could be blue, could be green, but it's usually the blue there's an issue for.
Yep.
Samantha, yeah, you know what we're talking about.
Sam, you can feel our pain.
So if we think about what we know is supposedly physically in front of us, and we're not even getting to the paranormal, we're just talking about what's physically known by science to exist in front of us. How much of the colors of the light spectrum can we actually see? Do you guys have any idea? And I have said before, we actually see 5%, about 5%.
Right.
Completely wrong. You know what it is offhand?
I don't.
You guys know?
I really don't.
Stop. You're gonna fail your test, man, because we just went over this.
I have two answers.
Go ahead, Freddie. What is the actual? How much can people actually see? A healthy person.
I have it written down.
I know. That's why I said you're going to fail.
0.0035% up to 1%.
So realistically, you're seeing 1 out of 100%, 1/10, or excuse me, 100th of a percent. I'm sorry, 1%. Damn, I keep saying it wrong. 1% would be the max that you're really seeing across the spectrum of light. And we know that absolutely exists. And I was explaining to Freddie, it's just like there's I don't know what it would be described as, the rods, the flying rods that we know fly faster and the human eye can't see it. April,
Hi,
what's going on?
Hey, April.
And we know with high speed film, they've captured, and the one that stands in my mind because Ricky, what's up, buddy? Long time.
Ricky.
High-speed film has been able to capture other things that are actually moving in the air that the human eye cannot see because it's moving too fast. And so they've caught, in one particular, I remember it was, I was watching a documentary on this, and it was actually, they were showing, it was a gorilla that was actually watching this rod fly, and it was obvious the gorilla's watching it. The human eye cannot see it because it's moving too fast. But yet, animals in particular have better eyesight. Many of them have much better eyesight, not all. But many type have better eyesight than the human eye, and they could see the speed. So again, we have colors and we have objects moving faster than we can see them, which means we know they exist, but just because we can't see them, they still exist.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does. Makes absolute sense.
Again, when we get into these conversations with people.
But again, it was something I would have never thought of unless you brought it up. But when you bring it up, it makes absolute sense. But I never, ever thought of it. Ever did I think of it.
You get into these conversations with people, and again, you wouldn't think about it, but now you start opening up their mind. You go, well, let's look at this. What did Jeremy have?
Jeremy has Robert. Funny you should be talking eyes. My first real investigation is in 4 weeks, and I will still have my bad double vision. And I'm actually going to test it out on the investigation.
Hi, Jen.
Especially, I wear an eye patch. When I take it off at night, I get more light and color for a while before it goes back to normal. And I'm going to test it out of jail to see if I might be able to see more from that or not.
Excellent. Love to hear.
Hey, Jennifer, Amber.
Jeremy, when you do this investigation, buddy, this is what Rob calls it. I don't know. It's what he tells me. Rely more on this eye, because I have a feeling that you're going to start to experience way more stuff now that you've lost some of the vision in one of the eyes. I think there's going to be another one that opens up for you. I feel like you're going to have a lot of stuff going on this year for you, buddy, in a good way.
You think you might?
I really do. Up? I really do. Honestly, I do.
Now, Jeremy, confirm for me if you would, buddy. As far as I'm aware,
hi Tom. Hi
you
Amber.
don't have any particular abilities. Is that correct, Jeremy? Grounded paranormal. Look, we got a trio.
All three of them
on there.
That's half the team right there. Come on.
Yeah, they had an investigation last night. So
yeah, they did.
I was actually trying to
watch. Jen has the paranormal hangover.
I was trying to watch, but Facebook wouldn't let me see anything. So I don't know what
Sean watched it for a while, I believe, but we were so tired from our trip yesterday that he watched for a little while and then we went to bed.
I hope you guys had a good night. So
I asked a question because I saw somebody who was actually going through, and I was just curious, do they ever have that type of effect? The host was like, she basically giggled about it. She goes, I think it's so funny when I hear people talk about paranormal hangover because, we're older and it's that time of night. Well, a lot of us, including myself, work third shift. We work overnight. We're used to being up overnight, but there's a definite difference when you have a lot of interaction.
You still feel different.
Because I think you're using a lot of effort to do an investigation, and you've got open mind and you're trying to really, it wears you out.
Well, I think when you're having a good communication session or good interaction with spirit energy, it is utilizing some of your energy.
Exactly.
Kind of like watching somebody with dowsing rods.
They just heard a whisper. Chantel said, did anyone just hear a whisper come through now? And Amber said it was quiet. So I'm not sure if it was.
Was it me though when I was talking about be quiet? Because of Jennifer's paranormal hangover, I talk loud, so that's why I did that. It might honestly have been me because I was just remarking that. We'll play it back and listen to it in a little while.
Jeremy said, actually, I haven't lost any vision at all. I still have 20/20 vision in both eyes. I just have to wear an eye patch so that I can keep my balance. It's just badly crossed right now. Once I have surgery to fix the nerves behind my left eye, everything should be back to normal.
Well, just keep in mind, Jeremy, that even if both eyes are 20/20, darling, I'm telling you, you're going to start to see things with another eye here soon and hear things and feel things. And trust me, I think your investigation coming up is going to be pretty interesting for you. Let's just put it that way.
So again, there's Janie's little insight. So let's see how it plays out there, Jeremy.
I don't know what it is with Jeremy. Ever since it was way before.
It was before his.
Yeah, his accident that I've seen his name on there hundreds of times, and I never really like connect it with his energy or anything because I didn't feel any reason to. But it was like before that accident, I came to you and said, I think that there's something that's
Yeah, you did.
gonna happen with Jeremy. I'm a little concerned. And then shortly after that, he had this accident. And I don't know why. There's just been some kind of connection there, Jeremy. So just pay close attention on your investigation, buddy.
It's
Sean,
almost,
we do need coffee.
it's almost like I see somebody standing behind.
Almost. Probably not standing behind, probably like kneeling under the TV. So,
hello, Sean.
Sean, our cameraman.
Yes, Jeremy, I agree, darling. He says, I figured why not test it while I've got it? Absolutely.
I love Chantel, as long as it's not the brown eye.
Yeah, right.
Now, had Sean been on at the time, he would I'm
Lord,
sure, gone there
no.
quick.
We don't want Sean on here today. Rob and I had to deal with that on Thursday.
Y'all talking about brown eyes?
No, Sean, we're not. Bye.
Bye. Before you get started on that, stop.
No,
Stop.
go pick up what we need. Bye. Don't forget buns for dinner tonight.
Don't give Sean an in because he will just take advantage of it.
Oh,
The
my
stuff
Lord.
that comes out is
Oh,
we should be pretty amazed.
We can't censor fast enough when Sean's. We just can't.
So let's kind of bear that in mind as far as with Jeremy. I will be kind of curious to see how this year goes for him.
Right.
No, Chantel, by all means, play through.
Yes,
Some
absolutely.
humor is fine. We have a lot of fun with it. I do want to bring up, before we get too far into it, because we're always talking about techniques and certain things. One item that has come up on numerous cases, especially with kids involved, is a simple little game that's been around for a very long time. I don't know exactly how long. The jacks. Can you grab that? Just the simple jacks. Too often it's come up, and we went ahead and finally took the time to go ahead and purchase some. Different little trigger items and even games from back then is a big deal to have. What do you have?
Samantha says we need to go live on our personal page.
Yeah, that's because of all those posts I was putting
Yes.
out. Samantha, you're absolutely right. It's just a matter of how quick we get put in jail.
Who's
Mom?
doing our thing for us? Elite Paranormal Society.
Shay, is that you on as Elite Paranormal
I
Society?
pretty much enjoyed Sean. He has the same personality as I do. Oh, Lord. We got to do two of you.
My mom's on, Diane Murphy.
Hello,
Hi, Diane.
Thanks, Mom. Appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed those videos of the big old woodpeckers.
It'd
Oh,
be good.
my land.
It'd be good to get her on her one time and do a little.
I don't know if
Was
I can
Mom-
con her into doing that.
No.
I'd probably have to find out.
Yes, it's Shay, Rob.
All right, cool. Thanks, Shay.
I'm
for being
still
on.
trying to get Diane to just come over and hang out with me.
My mom has been the number one supporter since I've been in as far as the paranormal. She's, we started actually experiencing it when I was in high school. We had some crazy stuff happen, which I was talking about, the stuff that would fly across in that house. The amount of activity that we had was amazing. And my mom, who at the time, she was very quiet, she was very reserved. She would when she went to bed at night, she would be reading the Bible. She wasn't a Bible thumper to preach it. It was just her demeanor. She didn't cuss, didn't drink. Boy, how things have changed. No.
You better stop. She's still a sweetheart.
She is. It's just a matter of, our impact on our parents. We just don't quite realize. But Mom, thank you so much, because you have been my number one supporter, and I do honestly
awesome.
appreciate it. Seriously.
Jennifer and them they played hide and seek with the spirits last night. So Amber said I was playing hide and seek with the little kid last night again, and they love it. So
Yeah, I tell them right off the jump, no, because that's not fair. Because I know I'm not going to find them. Amber can find them. I can't. Janie can find
they
them.
will always be the best hide and seekers ever. So.
Yeah, I'm competitive. I don't want them to win all the time.
Jeremy, I still try to debunk things too, sweetie, even though I'm seeing it and hearing it. I still tell Rob, look, this is what I see in here. Will you make sure that it can't be this, this, or this, before I give it to the client? So yeah, there's nothing wrong with trying to be the debunker. Not at all.
It's important to keep an open mind. And even if people come to you and they're just like, this can't, that's great. Because last couple times we've been talking about debunking, and especially when people are just anybody. And I see teams doing the same thing. I see teams posting stuff where if there's any deviation in the picture at all, they're circling it in red and calling it a spirit or a ghost, and it's not a damn thing there besides shade.
And that's one thing, and I do, and it's probably my fault, but I follow a lot of like pages, and I try to look at people's pictures, I try to look at people's videos and stuff, and I'm just like, they're circling stuff. I don't see anything in these circles. I mean, I don't have abilities. I'm different from.
Well, people
like
send Rob photos all the time of orbs that have been blown up so big that. Well, pareidolia, you could pick anything out of that. You know what
You're
I mean?
in a dark, pitch black room.
Right.
And they're taking a picture and they're circling this. Like, it's black.
I love you too, Miss Diane.
But it's teams that are doing it.
Right.
Now understand, for anybody who's newer to the field, there is nothing that stops you being completely new to the field, never been out in the field yourself, saying, hey, I'm a paranormal investigator. There's nothing that stops you from doing that. You can immediately go ahead and say, yes, Jeremy, yes, I do have those pictures. Thank you, buddy.
And yes, you do, Jennifer. I have done investigation with Jennifer's team, Grounded Paranormal, and she does. They definitely try to debunk things that they catch in photos. Yep.
But it's absolutely. How many people, whether it's public, it's like somebody asked, now we've been talking about cleansing recently, and here's to the same point. And this is how it gets broadcasted on a higher level. Somebody said, do you know what kind of sage I'm supposed to use for cleansing? And then most of the responses are, well, I heard, I think it is, it's just every different form of, I heard this from somebody who heard this, from somebody who read this, that heard this from there and heard this. It's not what they've actually used.
Right. It's not what they've actually went out into the field and tried to experience for themselves. Right. Exactly.
And that's where we have a lot of problems with. It's no different than, of course, the orbs and everything else. It's because there's so many people, and now most that are out there, Joe Public is going, okay, what am I supposed to believe?
There's so much misinformation about all of it out there that people don't know what's real and what's not, or what teams are authentic and what teams aren't, because there's so much misinformation out there.
I can sit here and I can post a picture, edit a picture, or what to, and I can convince majority of people that is paranormal.
Oh, well, we've seen it. And then you turn around and say, look, I edited this picture. It's not paranormal. And how many arguments did you have where people wanted to go ahead and say this?
And that's the big thing. Yeah. And I had two pictures. I know I talked about it before and showed it before.
But again, that was to prove a point, to show that even though you told these people this is edited, this is not a real paranormal photo, they still came up with things they saw and swore it was paranormal.
And I'm just here going, seriously. But but that's, you see a lot of this stuff all the time anymore. And it's like, okay, so you got so many people will believe anything. And it's just like they need to take a minute, take a step back and look at the big picture and try to come up with a different reason. Yeah,
that way when you do experience paranormal, it's authentic.
You have the whole pareidolia, you have other things. I had a case this past week. I talked to an employee down at work.
Actually, let's talk about that for a second, because it plays into pareidolia in just the human mind. Right. And we underestimate what the human mind is capable of, and I think that what you have is a perfect example of both.
So I had a employee down in my work come up to me and say that every night she's been having this nightmare, waking up, and she looks over in the corner. Now she has a coat rack and a hat, that coat and the hat on a coat rack in the corner of the room, and she looks at it every night before she goes to bed. She lays down, she looks at it. So, I asked her, I said, well, do me a favor, if you can, move the coat rack to a different side of the room and see what happens. And guess what? No issues. But like, I said, she's probably laying there, laying in bed, looking over the coat rack.
And concentrating on it so hard before she falls asleep. So
it's in your mindset,
there's a person in the corner.
And you're still...
Well, your subconscious, I mean, we know we have a conscious that we know where we're looking, we're purposely, but we're not thinking about breathing at the same time. We have a conscious and a subconscious. Yeah. Some things are going on behind the scenes. So to your point, she turns over, looks towards that, doesn't even think about it, but she's got the outline of a person already, goes to sleep, but the mind all of a sudden has now developed that there's a person standing over there. When she
Right.
wakes up, she's freaking out because there's somebody sitting, standing in her room. I mean, most of us would. Most of us. Actually, Jeremy, I'm glad you brought that up. Jennifer McCart was talking about reflective surfaces. Couldn't agree. Gosh, I just can't imagine how to agree any better with that, because not only glass, not only windows, there's a lot of paints, there's a lot of varnishes. I mean,
high gloss paint will reflect immense.
There's so much. Even back here, a canvas can reflect. And then you add an SLS camera. And again, look, for everybody, before I completely irritate everyone about the SLS camera, does it have a purpose? Absolutely. Is it, does it give a lot of false positives? If you don't understand the term, absolutely. You shouldn't be using it. Okay.
Really?
The SLS camera is a program that's set up that is constantly checking. Reflective surfaces play a role in it. Shapes play a role in it.
Driving me nuts here.
And if you're picking up on something that you think is right there, and it's not this little critter who's up there doing something really odd to somebody's ear or something, which you'll hear people talk about, and you'll see pictures of it. If you don't take that camera while you're actually seeing something that you think is positive and actually move that camera, because now you're changing the reflective surface. If you take that camera and you gently move it over, if that image disappears, wipe it out of your mind, because it was never there in the first place.
Right. It was something reflecting. Yep.
And just because you see that image, now you need to do something else in response to that, which the nice part about the SLS camera is the person who is viewing behind the monitor can see it. The person in front of it obviously cannot. You might see the map out on the wall or whatnot. But if you stick your hand out and it sticks, and whatever's on the other side sticks its hand to you, and you're trying to shake or something, or I saw the hug before, as long as there's not a mirror there, that's cool. That's great.
Right.
But just because you see a stick figure, which is the program that is designed to see a stick figure out of any type of straight forms or whatever,
right?
So many people get off on the SLS camera and they're missing so much with it. Just saying.
There was that video that I shared. It's not personal. It's not, it's this thing we saw that they had an SLS camera on this chair that had a coat hanging on the chair, and it had the outline. It looked like a person, and it's picking up a stick figure. So,
I know Chantel was saying the same thing as far as with the mind, how it can.
Yeah.
Mind is already programmed to see faces and other objects. Jennifer, absolutely right. Jeremy, he had brought up about the SLS camera, another pet peeve of mine. So many people rely and don't understand the reflective surface and manipulate the forms showing up on SLS. Absolutely agree. And again, it's hard for me to wrap around new technology. And I'm not saying new technology doesn't work. The K2 is still one of the most popular pieces of equipment out there. The K2 has a purpose, but the K2 also gives numerous false reads that most people don't understand.
Right.
You can't even take the K2 and move it too fast without the lights lighting up on it.
Yeah.
If you move it, very often the lights will flash. And you'll see somebody who will sit there and move, oh, look, and it's like, stop.
Right.
Cell phones, walkie-talkie. There's so many things that interfere with it. But if you already know your area, and then you're being very consistent as far as you're not having these other things that are going to interfere with it, and you say, look, if you're in here with us, can you show us? Can you go ahead and make it light up and hold it there?
Yeah.
It lights up. When do you ever see them ask to hold it there?
Yeah.
Why do they just turn around and say, hey, can you make it? And it goes, bloop. Well, that's real easy to do. All I got to do is just hold a cell phone or a walkie-talkie
Right.
down. I can make it do
Or even just have
Right.
one in your pocket and not realize
Yes.
that it's affecting it. Yeah.
Again, it's an EMF detector. It's going to go ahead and detect. So it's good. It's just on a very low scale compared to like the millimeter and whatnot. But there are some positive uses, but there's easy ways of having, you really need to take the steps to debunk it, because there are a lot of things that are going to give you false
And not
reads.
even just equipment, but people.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
human experience. How many times have we had people say, no, something touched me, and we go into the room and there's a huge cobweb hanging down right where they were standing?
Yes.
Or there'll be like something in the room where it's really, really dark. They couldn't see it with their naked eye, but they actually walked too close to it and maybe bumped against it, didn't realize. They'd swear up and down, something touched me or something pushed into me. And then we go in and turn the lights on and say, no, if you were walking over here, it was probably this.
Well, the
But-
limit again with the lower basement where you
Yep.
have the rough cut timbers,
Mm-hmm.
which
They
rough
catch
cut
your
means it's not-
hair.
catches, and it's more likely that the woman is going to go ahead and experience that because she usually has longer hair or
Yep,
whatever.
absolutely.
And they'll be, and several of the females be like, "Oh, it's pulling my hair, it's pulling my hair," and it's just because one, a couple pieces of your hair actually get caught.
Well, I actually had a lady
Explanation.
say at the temple one time when we were investigating, she came out of her room. I don't remember what room she was in, but she said, I know there was paranormal activity in there because the electricity was so bad, my hair was standing on end. Anybody who knows how static electricity
Static, yeah.
works, it was cold outside. We came into a warm building.
Dry.
My hair looked like I stuck my finger in a light socket too, and I wasn't even in that room. But she immediately went to the paranormal, immediately, without trying to debunk it.
Jeremy, I'm good with trying out new technology, but I'm also using stuff that's not built for the field because now you know that since it's not built for the paranormal, chances are they won't have been programmed with whatever you. Very, very perfect example.
I love
there.
that, Jeremy.
Programming. If you have apps, I'm not going to say all apps don't work. There are apps that we've definitely run across, the ITC Collaboration Pro.
Yeah.
Doesn't have any actual words, it's phonetics, which I like. The problem is you have all these different types of ghost box and whatnot, and if they have things that are programmed in them, certain words, if it's going to be programmed, shouldn't it be a 1-to-1 ratio? I mean, if you have the in it and you have demon in it, why would you have demon programmed 100 times more than the? Whatever.
Right.
It should be a 1-to-1. Creepy voices. Why are they always programmed with creepy ass voices?
I know. To
rather
sound
than normal
Why
voices?
can't it be like, hey, what's up?
right.
Yeah,
But you're
or-
not
or
gonna get
something. Yeah, yeah.
Now we're over here. I would like, give me something with an Australian accent. Give me something,
Right.
Something different. Yep.
But they don't. They typically, manufacturers typically, and that's for sales. That's, again, it's to go ahead and put that ooh effect to it, that scary effect to it. What did Chantel have?
Chantel has
EMS, yeah.
one program picked up crazy EMS in a basement until further investigation. It was something to do with old wiring in the house, which you will get that, the old wiring.
Yep.
Go back to your investigation techniques. Who actually goes ahead and checks? Who does an EMF sweep anymore? Who? Where do you see it on? I don't watch very many shows, but the last time I watched a couple of shows, I didn't see one.
Nope.
We
They
go
jump
in,
right in.
We talk to the clients. We do. Then you send some people
That-
off, and we do an EMF baseline.
Well, that's a big thing with our team because we start the debunking right from the
yeah.
get-go.
From the phone
Yep.
call.
Exactly.
Right on through.
Rob starts with the trying to debunk things right off the bat. When we go into an investigation, if I go with the team, I go and do my walk. Don't let anybody know what I pick up except for Rob when it's finished before I even tell the client. But while I'm doing that, if he's not with me, he's walking the property to see where the heat vents are, to see if there are fans, to see if there are fish tank pumps that could be running in the background, to see if there are anything that we could possibly debunk before we even start the investigation. Helps you in two ways. In one way, you can debunk certain things. And in another way, you know where these things are so that if you're picking up things during an investigation, you can eliminate it if you automatically know, well, no, there's a pump that's running in that room. So that could have been that. Let's just throw it out. But ours starts from the very get-go.
And like you said, also pipes. Pipes
Yep.
is another biggest thing too.
Oh, yes.
You get water running or somebody flushed the toilet, it's not like the whole house coming down.
Yep.
And in some places, the
Yep.
older houses, stuff like that. So
Older houses using boilers to turn around, have steam for the heat. That will
Right.
create. I mean, that
Yep.
can actually sound the way it does that. Doom, doom, doom. Sounds like somebody.
I can
walking.
tell you, at our house every night, I hear this weird pumping noise. But it's actually the furnace kicking on, and it has the filter. It's lifting it up and it's putting it down.
Yep.
Put it down from it's just the way it is. I can't.
For you guys right now, who we have on now, Chantel, I'll get to your question here in just a sec. Let me ask you a question real quick. Do any of you guys, especially like say in your basement, that's most common, any of you guys have fluorescent lighting anywhere in your house? Out of curiosity. I'm going to wait for that, and then we're going to go ahead and go to her question. You have fluorescent lighting in your house?
Yeah.
All right, so
Not
hit the
much.
question. Go ahead and read the question out. Fred.
What, Chantel's?
Yep.
Yeah.
Quick, do you prefer having a history of the place, your investigation, or have only one person know, but not say so when reviewing? You can then show or not show a validation. And that's what we go make on investigations. I don't want to know anything. And that's what Rob won't tell me anything other than the fact, hey, just we're going to set up here, this area, and then go from there. You may know from Janie or whatever, but nothing gets passed on to us.
I'm the point of contact for my team.
Yeah, nothing gets
99%
passed
of
on
the
to me.
time.
Sometimes not even an address.
The information comes straight to me, and I know what's going on or what's being reported. And again, there's a difference. What's reported of going on. If I set Janie up for it, whether it's a phone read or while she goes to a location, no other team members hears what she picks up on her read, but she gets no information besides possibly a client's first name and telephone number. That's all she's going to get. She doesn't even know where we're headed to until we're going at all. Like now we live together. She won't know until we're actually arrive at the location where we're going. That's where.
And even if I pick up, even though we live together, if I pick up something for a location that we're planning, or even a location we don't know we're going to get yet, I still pick up the phone and text it to Rob. That way we have that time stamped and dated so that we can show it to the client. It keeps our integrity intact.
Chantel, and I'm just directing it. I know it's a general question, but I'm directing it back to you and explain real quick. The problem is if I say, hey, Freddie, there's a little kid at this location they believe is a little spirit that's doing this, that, and the other. He's going to be wrapped up around that, focused on that. I've now planted that seed in his mind. So whatever happens is probably from that little child spirit. That's not right. That's right. I'm already contaminated his process of thinking. Yep. I've already influenced. If I tell her, could that be an influence? Now she's got to decide, okay, am I getting this from my spirit guides or is this
something I'm remembering? Yep. And you know what? That's what I love about Grounded Paranormal. I've been on investigation with Jen. She gave me no information other than this is the address, this is the place. I'd love for you to come and walk it, do an investigation with us. I prefer it that way. Right. It keeps my integrity intact.
She's on the same page, so that way if a name comes up or a date or whatever, it's not forcing, absolutely. 100% agree.
Absolutely.
But what did the original shows do? They said, look, this is, the person would report, say, hey, this is what's going on at the location. And I get it was an overall view. Too many teams believe in the cookie cutter approach. We have to watch what they do on TV, which is now a huge mistake, and go ahead and apply that to the field.
Right.
Does that mean running too? I mean, because they do that and they freak out about the simplest of things.
Yep.
Jennifer has put up there as far as people need to go back to the basics with and without
equipment.
It's no different. One of the parts of our methodology that I absolutely want any of my team members to do is when you get into a location, who takes the time to sit their ass down and shut up and just listen and let your body acclimate? You're not used to being, most of us are not used to being in the dark. Information-wise,
especially in a strange location in the dark.
But you go into a location, whether it's outdoor, indoor, whatever, you're put in the dark. You turn, you got the lights off. Now you need to let your body adjust. You need to let your eyes adjust, your hearing adjust, and even your breathing adjust. Because I can bet you, if I turn around and put you in a location you're not familiar with, and I take a scarf or something, a blindfold, and put it on your eyes, you'd be surprised how many of you will have your heartbeat in your throat when you feel that we left you alone.
Right.
Yep.
Monitor your heart rate and watch what happens. Yep, you're exactly right.
It will really feel like that. Reason I asked about fluorescent lighting, okay, how many people are aware that fluorescent lights are absolutely going to go ahead and put off an EMF field? So especially people, if you go to a location, they have the fluorescent lights in their basement up in the ceiling as you walk by. Those are a good area of EMF that are going to go ahead. So if I were to walk with a K2 and just pass through each of those fields, it's going to definitely go off. Just catching up on, she's got that. Chantel's got that.
Sam said yes. That's like why she don't look up history, which it's good to have history, but don't say anything to anybody. That way you have it for later. You refer back.
Okay, I bring a lot of the equipment, so I know trigger objects. Like if I have the history, don't get me wrong. There's benefits and there's pros and cons, and you have to weigh which is going to work best for the people that you're with. You have some people that are good and will try to isolate and keep things to a calm. But it's also nice to have those certain trigger. What's the matter?
Snowing.
It's blowing off the trees.
Oh, I hope that's all it is.
It's only blowing off the trees. So if we're going to go to like a Civil War location, I'm going to bring some trigger objects for that. If we're going to go to somewhere that was known for gambling, I might bring cards or something. I want to bring some trigger objects that's directed that I might have something out. Doesn't mean I have to tell anybody. I can bring those. So one person on the team having the information, it's definitely good to have.
Yeah.
I don't question that, but I want to, even though we go to a location that's had all these crazy validations, I still want to go ahead. It's as hot as balls in South Africa still. Can you
send some our way?
Yeah. We'll send you some of the cool weather. You send us some of your warm weather. I appreciate that. Not all of it though, because it does get crazy hot over there. No, thank you.
Yeah, we don't want it all.
What Jeremy have? What's happening?
I once had a case a couple years ago where a fluorescent light was giving off over 150 mg, and I told them that they need to get it fixed. And a lot of lamps, you buy like a lamp from like Walmart or like a cheap lamp like that. A lot of them will put up high EMF. Like it's
This time of year, all your temporary heat, you turn around,
Yeah.
you plug in a little heater and everything. You'd be surprised what that can throw off as
Yep.
well. Houses that were built, and I don't have an exact date, but let's just say 1960, 1970, they had copper plumbing everywhere and they would ground to the copper. Well, the copper's all connected, and the turn around before long, you have a whole house that's a grid of EMF.
Yeah.
We've had that happen where our Mel meters, they only go up so high, 199, and it would be completely off. It couldn't go up any farther. What that does cause, high EMFs, or if somebody has a sensitivity to electromagnetic fields, it can cause them to be off balance, to have a problem with their balance. Yes. It can have a problem. It can cause them to feel like they're being touched. It can make them feel like they're being watched.
Yeah.
Well, what's some of the regular comments you get? It can cause nausea.
Yeah.
And
not just people. Chantel here mentioned horses. Animals will react to that also.
There's a range of things that high EMF how it can affect somebody. We have some little gadgets where they've got tools now where you can do it yourself and make up a little EMF generator. Mm-hmm. Well, as soon as you turn that on, if I turn it on and I don't even tell Freddie, he's going to go, oh my gosh, I got a headache. He's going to hit him really quick.
Yeah.
Because he's very sensitive to it. And something as small as a hearing aid set it off too. What are we setting off though?
EMF.
It depends on the detector. Generally not, unless you're right on top of it. If I take a Mel meter and I'm just holding it out in my hand and I have a hearing aid in, it's not likely to set it off, in all sincerity.
I agree, Jen. Guys, share this out for us, please.
Yeah, please do. I shared like over 50 times and
Well, again, when we're talking about the different ways of, people will mention as far as about, hi, Mr. Cardinal. You just chilling with us? I got a cardinal sitting on the window about
sorry guys, I just saw
away. You might want to get a better view there, buddy.
Little red bird.
But animals, people will, thank you so much for sharing that out. People will be talking about animals, how their animals reacting. And again, you're still guessing. You don't know what that animal can hear or see that you can't. And I know first thing everybody thinks is, oh, it's a spirit. No, BS. We don't know what's in a wall because, people say, oh, a cat's scratching at the wall. I'm sorry. If you have a house, I don't care how clean you are, you can get a damn mouse in your wall.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That mouse will have a regular area that it will travel in, and then that cat can hear it.
Yep.
And that cat will go up and start hitting that area.
Wall,
it doesn't mean that you have a spirit portal or anything else.
Or staring at the wall, like,
so that does happen.
Chantel said, this is why it's important for EMS sweep to get a baseline. So
absolutely.
Yep. And back to the hearing aids. Jeremy says that he has hearing aids, and so far they have not set anything off.
Now there have been times where they're giving off feedback,
right?
And people can hear it, and I have to tell them what that was me. So yeah,
right,
perfect.
Right.
And that's very important, especially if you have a recorder going. You want to make sure you debunk it. Right. You want to make sure you know what's going on and what the possibility is.
Yeah.
What does Samantha have?
A lot of stuff isn't paranormal. People get excited. I mean, when stuff is paranormal, it is really cool. But that being said, it doesn't mean the place is active.
You're right.
Absolutely, 100% agree with that. And
you're right.
We all want paranormal. We all want to capture something or experience something as paranormal.
Yeah. And then there are those people that are on the opposite end of that spectrum too. How many times have we been on location where one spouse or the other would call us in because they were experiencing what they believed to be paranormal stuff, and then the other spouse will be like, "Well, I saw this and heard that or whatever, but it's not paranormal." It's like
literally to that point.
Yeah.
They will call us and they will just be all ecstatic that something crazy is going in their house. They have ghosts, but they don't believe in that stuff. But they got them, but they don't believe in it.
Yeah.
But they got them.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's crazy. I mean,
I've heard it. I've seen it. I watched stuff move. I saw my cabinet door open. I heard a guy say my name when I know I was in the room by myself, but I really don't believe in this paranormal stuff.
You always have that one person that does and one person that doesn't. And like in a household, it's so weird. Like one believes, one doesn't.
But that's the point Rob's making. It's from one spectrum to the other. Just because this one says it's not paranormal doesn't mean that it's not paranormal. Right. Just because this one says it is paranormal doesn't mean that it is paranormal.
to Jeremy's point, the way we refer to it is you can have a location. Now, some people get a little carried away. One woman I saw on a post, she says, "Hey, we have ghosts in our house and it's all fine." But now XYZ is happening and they're losing their mind.
Right.
Well, I guess it's probably not all fine. You kind of threw me off when you say it's all fine. And now you want to complain that everything's going crazy.
You're right, Jeremy. That one's a biggie too. Any activity, people automatically go to the demonic. It's a demon. It's a demon. How many times have you had to talk people down off the ceiling like, calm down. It's not a demon.
People sit there and go, "Oh my gosh, you ought to have seen the stuff that was flying around my house and everything." Okay. Typically, even though they say that, it's not usually so many things. It only takes one thing, and
right, and then their brains amped it up. Yep.
And for those in the field if you're helping with a client, look, any of you guys have anything sharp in your kitchen? Most of you are shaking your head or know what I'm talking about. You have the butcher block with all the knives and stuff. Look, if it can throw things, and it already has. Right. It hasn't thrown any knives. It ain't trying to kill you.
Right.
Chill out. Relax.
Right. And you ask people that when we go on investigations, have you been scratched? Have you been pushed? Have you been touched? Has it tried to harm you in any way at all? No, but I know it's a demon. Okay. Just because you're afraid of what's going on does not mean that it's a demon.
Okay. Case in point. Gina.
Hi, Gina.
No, we're not saying case in point. Gina's the demon.
No, she's not. She's not.
Just when she happened to come on. It's no different than a growl. If honest to gosh, if you turn around and you put whoever in a room or put people in a room, one is based on numbers. For the human, if one person by themselves is usually going to get intimidated or scared a lot faster than if they have six people together. It's just a fact. If you play the sound of a growl in a room, most people are going to freak out because we've learned to associate growl with a dog that's about to bite us and eat us. Okay?
Right.
Stop. We're talking, to an animal that might sound scary as hell to them.
If we talk real deep,
does it sound scary to you?
That creeps me out when he does that. I don't like it.
But I'm saying, look how quick.
I don't. He creeps me out when he does that. Even in broad daylight, he'll do that, and I get chills. I'm like, oh, don't do that.
I'm not doing anything different besides changing the volume, the depth of what I'm talking.
Get out.
It sounds horrible as opposed to,
Yeah.
Which one are you going to take more offense to?
Right.
Why?
And just like spirit, apply that same thing to the living. Anybody that knows Rob knows that he is the farthest thing from a demon or somebody that's going to try to do anybody any harm. But when he makes that sound, somebody that doesn't know him would think, oh my God, he must be evil. He must be, there's something wrong with. You got to apply.
Well, even if you hear about the growl and stuff like that, people are like, oh, I heard this word growl, but the growl was actually something not even close to what they explain or describe it.
But they would automatically
make it.
Oh, it's demonic,
a growl,
and it's like, stop before you get. And I'm using an extreme, a sound that you're not used to hearing that you automatically you're going to think, holy heck.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, my team members, when we're in the dark, I forget that we're live half the time. And when it's dark and we're in close proximity and I do that, I understand how it can rock their world. No different than if all of a sudden somebody's experiencing something, I will clap really loud. And when it's dark and you don't see me clapping.
He's done that before, exactly. And I've almost jumped out of my skin because it's completely dark.
We've had some people get ready to hit the door,
because we do. We go and sit in dark rooms, okay? And so we're sitting there trying to settle down and trying to get used to all this around, and all of a sudden we're in the middle and then clap. I'm like, it does make.
But again, that's the point. Right. You have to, like you do it, you have to be on top of trying to get people to get focused and know that not everything is going to be paranormal before you even start. Otherwise, every little thing they hear or feel or see is going to be paranormal.
Or the time we had the one guy with the dog. Remember the dog that moved that, you had it was set up and then he walked by it and it went off and didn't realize it. And I think he about jumped from the floor to the ceiling.
Yes. We were actually at the end, we were wrapping up and I have a motion sensor dog and it's in the front of the head and I didn't tell him about it. And he walked up there and the dog just starts laughing. It rolls over with his ears flopping. And
I swear sometimes he does that to freak people out.
It was dark. It was very dark. He's up there by himself.
He doesn't know it's there.
And all of a sudden, this noise just starts banging out in front of him. And it didn't matter what the noise was. The noise was the dog laughing. Laugh didn't matter. It wasn't registering. It was, this is not cool.
Yeah, this has to be paranormal. I'm out of here.
To Jeremy's point, we've said it over and over. Animals are a great barometer of what's going on with the action. They're fantastic. Children are as well, but
Yeah.
animals are very quick. A dog in particular is very quick to either calm back down or to continue. You know, if it's been stressed, it's going to get over it quicker. It's almost like it doesn't have the way we play. It doesn't stay and watch TV most of the time.
Right.
We do. We get all
It
these thoughts
doesn't
in
get
our head.
influenced by outside
Yes.
influences.
So it's a
Exactly.
great barometer of, is there activity? Has the activity calmed down? Is something changing? The dog
Thank
is
you,
always
Chantel.
the dog is always just happy and fun.
Right.
And now it's growling.
Right.
Ladybird with you. Remember
Yeah.
that time when
Yeah,
your dog
we've
started
had her
growling at
for
you and going crazy? And,
never has she ever done that
and
ever.
she's not. You wouldn't even expect to hear a growl out of this dog. I
No.
mean, trust me, it's the
Seriously.
most calm.
And wasn't even going near her. I was sitting in a chair and she was sitting in front of me just staring at me. And that was when we were having all those other
But
experiences.
exactly.
And
there's
I
the
just
point.
reached out to try to get her to come to me, and she showed me teeth. Her hair went up, and she started backing away from me. Then I started to freak out, like, what the hell's behind me here? So I get on the phone, the car, like, Ladybird's trying to fight me, and I don't know why.
As far as pets in the past, you know, that have passed over, absolutely. Can they show themselves no different than a spirit? Can they make their presence known? Have they jumped up on a bed and done that funny little loop and plopped down on people's feet?
Yep.
We had the location with the remember the other dog we had. Remember that Stacy's house.
Yes.
Remember that? We're sitting in the hallway and you had the little ball and stuff like that.
Yep.
And we hear this little dog running. Like you could hear it.
We could hear the noise in the,
Yep.
but it
I'm
wasn't like footsteps.
Right. But it was almost like it was scurrying to get to the toy and stuff like that. And we had a pretty cool, you know.
Well, we
then
were on-
had the,
We were on investigation where I'm afraid of cats. And this is the one where you pull me out of the road. And I was like, Freddie, I'm out of here. There's a cat in this room. I just saw it going to bed. Freddie was like, no, the homeowner doesn't have any cats. And I was like, I'm telling you, I just saw a cat. 2 minutes later, he feels something brush past his leg. And the homeowner tells him, I had a cat. It passed away.
Yeah.
Like, I knew I saw a cat.
We have had, even when we first get to a location, we're doing our walkthrough, we've had other team members or past team members. I remember Laura saw and described the person's cat and was like, do you have the orange and white like tabby that's, and they're like, it's buried over there by the tree.
Yeah.
But she
Yeah.
explained exactly what it, and that's happened numerous times. Recently here at the house over the past week and a half or two, 4 different times at least somebody has seen a black cat in the house. We have no cats. She would lose her mind if we had a real living cat in here, but that's how often it's happened.
Yeah.
but you'll get, like you said, people said their cat's on the bed. Like you see the bed, they'll film like pawing around and trying to find their spot to
Yeah.
lay down. Yep.
Yeah.
We've heard the nails of animals, on different hardwood or laminate flooring. You could actually, and we've got recordings of where I thought it was like the client's actual living dogs. And she's like, no, I never let them go down, but you could hear them go down the stairs.
Yeah.
You could hear the claws
Yeah.
hitting the stairs.
The KOA, you did a walkthrough of the owner's kids told me, you said about the island there, the counter, and you said you kept hearing the dog's tail.
Yeah. It just sounded like something tapping on the side of the island.
And what got me was, I'll tell you guys right now, she didn't know anything about this location, about animals like that, but she picked up this dog, the type, the collar, and everything. So it was actually,
that one was an impromptu.
Right,
Rob just
impromptu,
like, hey, meet us at the KOA. I had no idea where we were going at the KOA. So there are multiple buildings there.
Samantha, good point. Yeah, the meowing. And we've got audio of dogs barking. We've got audio of cats meowing. There's none there. And again, we're always trying to debunk. We're not talking about, if we did it in an apartment, we're looking for ways of debunking it. And it's like sounds. These are known locations where we know what's around it, what's in it, the whole 9 yards. We've taken the time to find out, is there any actual living dogs outside that could have sounded that way, cats or anything else? When we talk about the ones that we came up with, they are actually in with us when there's none around.
Right. We had the one where we looked outside, everything. It's a house separate. It wasn't attached to anything. And there was like no dog around that we saw or heard. But
Right.
the EP we got on the recorder was right in the room.
Well,
with
not
us.
even just cats. We've picked up horses
Horses.
doing
Yeah, horses,
their blow and stomping their hooves.
Hearing the rocks under the feet. I had one this past summer. As a matter of fact, I wrote a post about it because I had an area near Antietam Battlefield where I typically would jog. And when I get to this one particular hill, going up the hill is very long. And I can usually just about make it to the top. Most of the time I'll make it to the top. I'm not jogging fast, for God's sakes, trust me, but I'm working my way. Well, I'll definitely not do that now. I'm working my way trying to get up the hill, and I kept stopping, and I thought, man, this is weird. This is like the third time I'm stopping. Well, that area does have people that will ride horses from time to time. So I hear this horse whinny across the field. Don't even look down at it. The field's completely open. I didn't look back. I'm still trying. I'm concentrated on trying to get up this damn hill that I keep running out of breath on.
Yeah.
So then the second time I'm going at it again, and I hear a second whinny, but it's a lot closer. Like, the person is running across the field with I'm assuming it's a rider on a horse running across the field. Third time, I actually flinched and dodged off to the side because I thought this horse was going to run me over.
Because it was loud enough and clear enough that you thought it was right there.
My brothers and my family has had horses all their lives. I know what the sounds are. This one, I flinched because I really thought this horse was about to run me over.
Chantel, I agree, honey. I told him if he ever sees me running, he better run too, because something big and ugly is chasing after me.
I would be so tickled, boy. I'd be right there for it, though.
Speaking of horses, Melody and I went up to Gettysburg. She goes and does pictures, takes pictures of it. I'm sitting in the Jeep because I don't like getting out doing anything, manual labor, whatever. So I'm sitting there, had the window down, and I'm sitting there just waiting for her to get done taking pictures, and I hear this horse. And then we was at the Eisenhower farm, and I'm telling you, I look at the fields, there's nothing. And I'm telling you, that horse sounded like it was right next to my window. Because I did this whole, like, what the heck? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then Melody comes back, and she's like, I said, how many horses are down in that barn down there? And she goes, there's none in there. I said, I'm telling you, I heard a horse. When we walked down there, there's not one horse that I can see visually anywhere, but to hear that right there next to like my window. Which, they would have horses back then.
Sure.
So,
right.
Excuse me, Sachs Bridge, another place.
Yep.
I was there with in the past, and we heard horses. We've heard horses whinny. And we got, and again, this is just our nature is to take and start walking. And we walked because there's some different places you can't see. There's a house, got some trees. I didn't know it was. So we started walking all around, looking around to try to find. There was no horses around. Horse riding instructor. They are so intuitive.
Chantel's a horse riding instructor.
And honestly, if to put in again, I'm intimidated by horses. I never was big into riding them. Definitely didn't.
I love horses. I grew up riding horses with my Aunt Tiny. Love horses.
You'll understand it a lot better when you have a young horse that is excited to see you. That does happen. And it was like that with the whinny that it did as it was hollering, as it was coming across the field. It was like it was coming. It wasn't coming to hurt me. I didn't feel. I was just intimidated with the sound being so close to me. I thought, oh God, because all I could think of, the field is open. There's no fence.
Right.
I'm just thinking somebody's riding a horse and you're about to run me over. But,
right.
When you hear that sound to a point that it makes you move, and I'm not one to jump and get scared by something like that, typically, like somebody jumping around a corner, you can get me every once in a while. I heard the horse 3 different times. It's not like I heard it only one time and I flinched.
Right.
I'm hearing it moving across. I'm aware of my situation. I wasn't aware that it was going to come across the road and run me over, but there was no hoofs on the road or anything.
Right.
But it was definitely, again, we hear this. We even have one that sounds like a bird screeching, like a macaw or something.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's really, that one is so, how do you really check that?
Exactly. But yeah, that's.
Yeah, horses are bigger than me. They've always been bigger than me, so it makes me nervous. If Janie and Rob are running, I'll pass out because my cripple ass can't run.
Tom, I'm with you, buddy.
We got you, Tom. We got you, honey.
I'm just going to be bait.
Make sure you got out.
I'm just going to be bait. So
don't get me wrong. I would love to hear or have something that honestly I would. I mean, I know it sounds fictitious, but to have something that would scare me that bad that I would want to bolt, I think it would be great. I would love to experience it. I love that.
Rob, I don't think it'll ever happen because nothing scares you.
It's like Chantel said, a horse whining is a happy or a hay sound. Aggressive sounds very different. It is a very
correct
sound.
Correct.
They're angry. Yep.
But talking to Joe Public, talking to like when we're doing a general, people just have one horse sound in their head, and you get it. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just the fact that it was so right on top of me. It was so loud, and here I am just trying to get up this damn hill.
Right.
It was trying to help me. Yeah.
It's trying to put some fear into your feet, get you moving a little better.
Don't run me over.
Yeah, right.
Ghosts or not, just don't run me over, man. Again, they intimidated me. They were always bigger.
Speaking of horses, I wonder if anyone has ever taken a horse to an old battleground to see how they react. As a matter of fact, Gettysburg does
Do the
reenactments,
horseback
and they do,
trail rides.
I've not noticed anything by when we've been watching. I really have not noticed that the horses have acted or anything has acted.
But then
out.
again, even animals get comfortable with their surroundings.
But
If these horses that are doing these walks in Gettysburg, if they've been doing it it would be interesting to find out how they acted when they first got brought there versus
Right.
how they react to
Jumpy,
certain
scary.
locations
Yeah,
now
very
because they're so,
because now they got the
accustomed to it.
cannon fires, they got the gun going off, so
Yep.
they're used to that now. But you're right, how
Yeah,
they do
because when we
started
first
out.
got Freckles, he was terrified of gunfire. And now, well, you heard out here on the back deck, didn't phase him a bit.
And I know watching, we went up to Gettysburg, did their reenactments and watching stuff like that. There was some horses that were, I guess, newer to it, and
Mhm.
they were a little jumpy,
Jumpy,
and they
yeah.
would like a run off, yeah.
There you go, Amber. Good idea. Bring some sugar cubes. Carrots.
Yep, absolutely.
If you don't use them up on the horses, just pass them right along.
Right.
I like sugar.
Yeah.
It'd be good.
Chantel said that's what the horse would say to you.
Need a lift or
Why are you
something.
running? Need a lift.
And I wasn't running. Trust me, it was going real slow. I was just battling that hill, and he was trying to, I guess, help me out. Thank you so much.
Yeah. But again, I am a firm believer that, and I know you are too, that things on the other side, whether it be animal, human, demonic, whatever it may be, they know before we do.
Yeah.
So again, this animal that you heard could have been something that knew you were coming that day and just wanted to be acknowledged.
Well,
and knowing that you are the type of person that is of open mind when it comes to paranormal, it just wanted you to acknowledge.
that could be. Now, me, I'm looking. Hey, it could be
Right.
residential. Residual. It could
Residual,
have just been
exactly.
residual. It could have been I just happened to be there at the right
Right
time to
time,
catch
yeah.
that sound.
Right.
What you have, the problem is we try to make an explanation for everything. Stop. Quit.
And sometimes there is no explanation.
It's no different than so many people are quick to say, hey, this is paranormal without saying, hey, we need to get some more information. I
Right.
can't tell you. I can just tell you it happened to come straight to where I was at, but could it still be residual?
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
So I can't rule it out.
Especially where you're at.
Yes.
Especially what took place there. So
Right.
it could be very well be a residual.
And the thing of it is, you can rule out that it was not a real live living flesh and blood horse there.
That I can
He's in an
absolutely-
open area. He's by himself. He's outside. He's looking around him. He would see it. If he could hear it
Correct.
that clearly, he would see it.
But again,
so he could
it's like
Rule that part out.
all of us with our personal experiences. That's what they are, personal experiences. It's like, we
Correct.
don't have it on recorder. We don't have it on this stuff. So it's
Jenny with a cat would not mix.
No.
No. Jeremy's cats are evil.
Samantha, I've been on location where the homeowners actually have cats, and I refuse to go in until they close them in a room or put them in a crate or do something. I don't want them creepy little things rubbing all over my legs in the dark. Nope.
yeah, Chantel, we're going to reply back to Jeremy. We have an old small cemetery on the side of one of the horses' paddock, and they sometimes just don't want to go past there while rotting. And
again, when you're dealing with animals and even humans, I mean, we hear at different levels. There's different things that can go ahead and set us off and spook us or make animals nervous. And just
Yeah.
because you can't see them doesn't mean it's the particular cemetery. There could be something else there. But that's a
Right.
good point,
Right.
knowing that there's things that can cause. And again, it doesn't have to be paranormal.
Right.
I in my heart, I can say, yeah, I felt that horse was coming right to me because it seemed to make a beeline right where I was
Right.
at. But I can't rule it out being residual. Again, that's why you have to keep that open mind. If you have multiple experiences, then you start thinking, okay, this is getting beyond.
Yep, exactly. Just because you can't explain something away does not mean that it did not happen.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Okay, Shay is on here, so I'm going to take just 2 minutes because I promised Shay I would do this. I got them on, Shay. My chicken boots. Just for you, sweetheart. Had to do it.
Yeah.
I've been telling Shay for weeks I'm going to show her my chicken boots.
Shay, thank you again for all the candies and the sage and all the stuff you
Oh,
said. Good
absolutely.
gracious, that was crazy.
Absolutely.
Did not expect that.
Bless her heart.
Go ahead and read, Chantel.
so just so you know, cats actually are said to absorb evil energy. That's why they have 9 lives and why some cats sleep right on your chest. They are protecting you from the evil energy.
I'm going to address that one because I'm sorry, that's my pet peeve. And you're right. There is a lot of people that say that. Deal with some demonic cases. Usually one of the easy questions to answer is, hey, do you have any, or did you have any pets? And usually on that second part, did you, is usually the cat. And in extreme demonic cases, that cat didn't go out in the best way. And I hate to put it that way, but it's really some nasty things that happens to cats. All their lives get used up really quick around negativity. Evidently. I don't believe that a cat honestly protects any of the people that we have dealt with from evil. Usually cats are a great indicator that evil is present. Is the best way of looking at it. People say, well, the Egyptians had cats. Yeah, the Egyptians used them because they wanted to know if evil was around. I mean, exactly. It didn't mean that they
Sam, you knew I would. You knew I would. Sam said she was waiting for that. I was wondering if you were wearing them.
Now, again, this is just in my experience over all the cases that we have done. We've had plenty of people that have had cats. I know what I have seen, and I know what I've heard as far as that have happened to cats in very, very negative locations. And that's usually the demonic side. Not so much with actual entities, which is different.
Right.
Well, and on the cat thing, I have 3 cats, and they have not a lot for a reason.
I do, Gina.
They use up 8 of them just for stupidity.
Sheila, yes, I do.
Some of the stuff they do, like my
souls.
cats are like, I don't know where they came from, but they have the strange.
They're crazy. I don't.
The one I like is Max. Man, Max is my black ghost tabby.
I don't like none of them.
It's black, but it has black stripes that you can see in certain lights.
I don't care if it's pink and purple. I don't like none of them.
You have to meet Matt.
No, you don't want me meeting. You don't want me meeting, brother.
So they have not allowed for a reason. I think it's my person because 8 of them they use up just for the stuff that they do and they get into. So,
thank you very much, Jeremy. We are gonna go for a little bit longer than we definitely appreciate that. If you have not checked out the Things Network on YouTube, check it out. Jeremy, if you could you just go ahead and if you've got the link, could you post it up there for the YouTube?
I did. Jen.
Please subscribe. I'm not, and it's not to offend anybody. I'm just giving you what we have experienced, such as far as with the cats. There's a lot of things where people say, again, these same people are the ones. You've got people that say that children can't be at any location, that God wouldn't allow it. And I get where it makes you feel good to think that, but some of those kids don't want to go anywhere. They're happy as hell where they're at. And they really do not want to go nowhere. So it might make you feel better to say that, but it doesn't mean that that's true. And unfortunately, that's the same thing for the paranormal in general.
Shay wants to know, do you see your spirit guides?
I do, Shay.
When it comes to spirit guides, I said we were talking about some abilities as well. And there's a couple things about abilities that you really need to understand. Abilities, not necessarily are you going to see your spirit guide. The whole point with people with abilities, you can get it from the spirit of that past person who happens to connect with you, or you can get it information through what we say, which spirit guides.
Right.
Others that are going to go ahead and give you that information, you have to learn to trust that information that you're getting. That's a very, very hard feat to get, especially when you're going to walk up on somebody that you don't even know, that you see in a grocery store and have to say, look, I know this is going to sound crazy to you, but that is a very, very hard feat to do when you're getting this information. And it might be, hey, you need to go get your shoulder checked out because something, I'm just telling you, and I'm not trying to scare you, but it's very serious that you need. Does that happen?
Oh my gosh. I can't tell you how often it happens.
And you have to walk up to a complete stranger, but that's how you get this information can come through like that. Now, this is just one portion of it.
Right.
I'm not covering everything.
Right.
Okay.
There's no way we could, because every day I live, there's different aspects of it that pop up that I could never explain all of it. You know what I mean? Like I'd been doing it for being able to see and hear spirit for how many years before I met you? I never would have thought in a million years I could do a read over a phone, or I could do a walk through a location over the phone. I'd never tried it. And then when Rob pulled me out of the box and had me try it, I realized, hey, I can do this. You know, it really was accurate, or it really did work. But I couldn't have explained to somebody how it worked. There's no way I could have explained to them how I could walk you through a house room for room in another state over the phone. I can't explain how that works. I just know it works.
You can't tell how a lot of things are labeled by association. Cats with witches and evil, snakes with the devil, because the Bible says they are bad. Everybody should be allowed to formulate their own opinion, but what we go with the masses.
No, Chantel, I formed my own opinion, honey. It has nothing to do with the cats. I'm scared of snakes too. Ain't got nothing to do with the devil or the Bible. It's just got to do with I don't like creepy things touching me.
You're absolutely right though, and unfortunately, it's wild. Melissa had just made a post this morning. She was talking about how she was at a church, and they had a demonologist that was speaking, and the demonologist spent the entire time mocking those in the paranormal and telling them how disgusting they are because they're basically it's all devil's work. Right. And yet when you actually have impacted people's lives in the most spectacular manner that you could ever imagine, as far as helping them get their lives back, pulling them away from the edge of suicide, just one thing after another, I'm still stuck on the 16 ounces of gold. That's not going to go.
Yeah. And how can anything be evil if it's helping someone?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Correct.
No matter how big or how small the help is, if it's helping someone to feel better about where they live or feel safe or feel comfortable or have their head cleared so that they can concentrate and function, how can that ever be considered bad or evil by anyone or anything? And not only that, on the other hand, he's a demonologist. So in his eyes, he believes in demons, apparently, because he's dubbed himself a specialist to get rid of them. So he believes there are only demons on the other side. Then whatever happened to the Lord? Wasn't he a spirit?
Kind of like the Holy Spirit.
I mean, come on.
So,
and I don't believe people can do that. Are you a Christian? Do you believe in the prophets?
Well,
not that I'm saying I'm a prophet, but,
right.
But you know what I mean.
Okay, but we'll go back to the prophets. And again, we're opening up a little can of worms here, but that's fine. We'll talk about it more anyway because it's very important. Right. Think about it, even with the church itself, the prophets, if you're related to the church or if you're connected to the church, and what are the prophets? People that have visions, people that see the future, whatever. There's, different degrees, different people. But yet, if you're the commoner and you have a vision or you can talk to the other side or the future, that's devil work.
If you're not going to church every week and throwing in that collection plate, you can't do it. But if you are, you can.
It's in Gina, I'm going to use you for just a moment. Gina was actually putting in about her cat that they have to have down. Gina has dealt with some very, very negative, and which is really wild because in her path that she is, demons aren't really right. It's not a recognized part of her path, but yet when she's seen the complete black eye, eyes go completely jet black, no whites, or seen something that was just. At what point do you go?
Unexplainable. Okay. What point do you say, okay, this has to be something else going on here? You know what I mean?
Jennifer still wants to sit down with you and just listen to what you would tell me. It should be interesting. We were going to plan to come down and soon see y'all.
Absolutely, Jen. Anytime, honey.
Shay just.
I love Shay.
Got to pee and eat. And I love you when you want something. I've always felt afraid when trying to connect with my dad. Like, what if they come through and have it out like for that one time you drank too much or did drugs at a party? What if he's like, I saw you, my girl? It also helps me make good choices, thinking he can see me.
Yeah.
Again, to me, I don't understand why it's so hard to believe. People have smelt particular colognes, pipe or tobacco or smoke or whatever that their parent used to wear or floral of or they keep finding those pennies when they know there's not been a damn penny there. I mean, Christ, now you don't even use coins for the most part.
Or dimes everywhere they go. Or
feathers in your house. You don't even have a feather pillow anymore. I mean, those are pretty much gone, but yet you keep finding these things. At what point do you go,
okay, maybe there's something a little bit higher powered than me at work here?
It's like my dad had this old cologne that was in these glass antique cars looking thing. It was the old glass cars,
like the Avon
stuff. And I'm telling you, it was the most horrible stuff I ever smelled in my life. I'm like, I don't know how you can even wear that, Dad. Like, you know what I mean? But there's times that I'll smell that just out of the blue. I'm just like, okay, there's nothing around that. I don't have any of those anywhere, but it's that particular smell.
Yes.
And
And going back as far as to the religious paths or whatever your belief system is, that's on you. Okay. I'm not judging. I'm doing it my way. Not. And I'm going to talk about, but I'm not trying to say, hey, you got to do it this way.
No.
I've had people that have turned away from God and they're like, I don't believe in it or whatnot. And if they decide to turn back, I want to make sure it's clear. It's not me pushing that. I'm just saying, hey, look, do what you're going to do, but it needs to be your choice.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
But
And usually it's the paranormal that helps to persuade them of that choice. How many times have we had people say, I don't believe in God, and then they have something negative happen in their house and they looking for Jesus and somebody to help them?
that's like in the military, they say there's no atheist in a foxhole.
Yep.
they, you know,
Everybody's praying
when
for
things-
God and a gun.
when things hit the fan. But again, everybody's path should be their choice.
Yeah.
What I find, the bigger respect I have is for those that are willing to go ahead and say, okay, this is strange. And it's not that they have to believe whatever, but I've had students of Wicca actually watch what I do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was asked by a priestess, hey, you mind if they watch? I just want to, you know, let them see your style. In the same thing, I want to learn theirs.
Yeah,
Because-
absolutely.
Right.
It's my belief system. I don't believe anyone is correct, and that everybody that doesn't believe in only one way, everybody else goes, you're incinerated eventually. I don't believe in that. Sorry. It's just my belief. As long as you're not hurting somebody, you have your own belief and make up your own mind. But I think it's great when we take the time to try to learn, just looking from their perspective. Again, okay, I got JC. I know where I'm at.
Right.
But can I be open-minded to learn?
Yes.
Then what
Absolutely.
else in the paranormal should you be open-minded about and try to learn? You can't just cut everything off. I can't say the SLS camera doesn't have an effect. It does.
I got eyebrows, Chantel.
What'd you say?
She said that me saying people were looking for Jesus sounded like Whoopi
Oh my
Goldberg.
God.
I said, nope,
Oh.
I got eyebrows.
No, we're keeping Whoopi out of this one. Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
let's please.
But I get where you're coming from. It's too often though we get into that, and we still see it. I mean, there's the Bible Belt. We know there's the Bible Belt where
Yeah.
so many people will be like, "Oh no, that's not real" or whatever. But it's one thing that they preach that way. It's a whole nother thing that there's a lot of people again that are human, that are in the clergy of some sort of level or another, and they are outright scared. If that is real, it scares the absolute out of them. And I don't fault them for that part. I don't fault anybody who is scared, and I don't care. I know you're supposed to have all the faith and everything else, but you're human. And when you see something, look, again, if we were on FaceTiming and we're talking and the person you're talking to is completely naked and something goes up through their skin like that, you're going to tell me you're not going, how fast can I get off this?
No, get
I'll
off.
be like,
Nothing, honey. I
have
wouldn't even
to
be trying to get off and
leave
be
now.
gone.
I just-
Yeah. But we
Disconnected.
actually had a case.
It really was.
We
Yes.
had a case where we had a priest that was on at the location that was supposed to be doing a cleansing of the location, that was so terrified once he got there because so many different things were happening to him. He was feeling like he had to throw up. He was hearing things and seeing different shadows darting around, and he was so afraid that he contacted me. You got to tell me what's in this house. You're the priest, the so-called demonologist. You tell me. I referred him to Rob, but this guy literally left the house, and then Rob was called in to come and do the cleansing.
Hey, and I'm not knocking it by far. I mean, I definitely have had priests that have called us directly and said, hey, look, I had one that was like, look, if I can't take care of this at my sister's house, can you come take care of it? It doesn't get any more personal than that. I mean,
Yep.
if you're saying, hey, look, it's, go back to works in mysterious ways. I don't care how you put it. If it directs it through this person and not this person, then if it's no different than going back to the prophets, it should be somebody that has to be corrected to a church, to be considered, and everybody else is
Right.
basically fruitcakes, because that's not the case.
No, it's not.
There's a lot of people doing a lot of good and spreading a lot of good, and that good,
Right.
if you're good of heart, if you're good of heart, you got good intentions, that's what it's about. And
Yeah.
that's my honest belief.
And the same thing for the paranormal field, not just people that have abilities. There are so many people out there that are spreading misinformation about the paranormal field just to get likes or followers, that nobody knows what to believe anymore, which is exactly why you started doing these lives, so that you could try to get, at the best of your ability, get things out there that we've experienced and have proof of for ourselves, so that people don't have to just look at the ones that are trying to get like, I mean, for God's sake, how many of you have seen the static cam set up in a room and it's got like 5,000 people watching it and 14,000 likes?
For
Why?
24 hours.
And for what? Nothing ever happens. Ever. But then you have people who actually, like our team and Jen's team, that actually experience these things and capture these things, and you're trying to get the right information out there. But there's so much of that bull information that is misinformation that you can't get through it all unless you do things like you're doing. Do the lives, talk to people, have people ask questions, try to give them to the best of your ability what you've done and experienced yourself, not just what's scripted that you want to write to get a like or a view.
Yeah.
Hey, Melody.
We see so many, and it is unfortunate, but we see some of the silliest things in the paranormal field that have the most viewers at the time, active live
and we
viewers.
know for a fact that it's not so, yet all these people believe that.
You gotta say bye, Jennifer. She's
Bye,
doing good.
Jen.
Jennifer,
Yeah.
Love
so
you, girl.
I'm right there with Chantal as far as we know there's yin yang, there's good, there's evil. You know, it's most of us do anyway, but you do get these people that want to believe on one side or the other. It's either all bad or it's all good.
Right. You need to, if it's good, you gotta have the bad. You gotta look at
Yep.
both sides of it.
There has to be a yin to every yang. For every push, there's a pull.
Yeah.
That's just, I mean, if you believe in science, that's scientific. For every push, there's a pull. For every action, there's a reaction.
I think it's pretty phenomenal for what's out there. We love the fact of being able to share. And it's what we've learned is what it's coming down from. It's not what we've been told. It's not just what we've heard from somebody who's heard it, 15 times over. There's a lot of things we have seen in the paranormal field that we know you guys ain't going to believe.
And see, that's to my point right there. Chantel says that she keeps her interest in the paranormal pretty private because so many associate it with bad and evil and make it a taboo thing to talk about. But Chantel, by doing that, sweetheart, you're not doing anybody a service at all, because that just leaves room for more of the ones that are putting out the stuff that isn't real. If you put those things out there and help to spread the information, the real information and how it really works, you'd be amazed at how many people it could help.
And that's what we try to do. We try to help people, and Rob, we have helped people.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? There's been times when Rob's on the
Right.
phone at 3:00 in the morning
to live better lives and don't have any issues. That's what we do it for. Then you have the
Yep.
ones that just do it.
They just want to get a like or a view, so they don't care if their information is
or they're
authentic.
like, hey, I'll come investigate your home, and then all of a sudden you get there and like, oh, there's too much stuff. I'm out and just leave and not saying anything to anybody. Now these people are like, okay, what's really going on?
Right.
And then you got to call somebody else in.
Right.
And
Or the ones that say, well, we can come and get rid of it for you for this much money.
right.
Yeah.
So and it's
No, it's unfortunate, but it's still, you're probably in the bigger side. The more popular thought of it is to keep your interest to a more private. It's no different than somebody with abilities. Any of you with abilities, what it's like. How easy is it for you to actually talk about your abilities to any of your regular friends? Can you really go on your Facebook page or whatever you have, and can you start talking about your abilities and what you do, what they mean to you? Hang on just a second.
Yeah.
And if you find that you have to think about what you're about to say before you can say it, hell, most of you can't even say it in your own family, much less anywhere else. That's a shame.
It is.
Yeah.
How's it going to be for the kids?
Yeah.
right. I'll just keep in mind too. I mean, I know when we started doing the Masonic Temple, okay, all those guys were hush hush, didn't say anything about anything. They didn't really believe in it. They didn't want to tell anybody anything. But then the more we started talking to them, the more they came out, the more they talked to us about what they saw, what they dealt with in the past. So a lot of people kept stuff, private, didn't say anything. But it's the ones that really who want to help, want to get out there, and need to talk about it. So
Absolutely, Jeremy.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. And it's no different than these people that get on their soapbox about science. Well, if science can't explain it, well, guess what? Science is supposed to be about questioning it. It's not supposed to be about explaining everything. It's supposed to always be questioning theories, coming up with, are there certain areas where gravity, for instance, we have where these ley lines cross, and you can actually take it, and instead of things being level, everything's off by 3% on a grade. Why? Isn't everything supposed to have a perfect balance? I should be able to walk in and go ahead and take my level and be perfectly level when it's straight across, not when I'm tilted at 3%. But yet we know there's exceptions to the rules.
like Chantel said, I hear you, but my world revolves around kids and parents I teach.
There you
who might
go.
or might not appreciate what I do in my spare time or what they see on my social media.
No,
Right.
nobody's knocking you for it.
No,
too, 'cause
not at all.
We understand. It's just a shame unfortunately,
It's
that
just
you have to
sad
worry
that
about
we have to-
persecution.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way people react to it. Yep.
There's harsher reaction, more likely, or it's more popular to be viewed as negative about the paranormal than these sickos that mess with kids and whatnot. And that is absolutely horrible.
Yep.
What kind
Absolutely.
of society? It's back like in the 50s. You know, rock and roll was a big deal, and my God, that makes people's hips shake. And
It's the
it's
devil's
work.
music, and yeah.
Holy cow!
I agree with you, Shay. I came about that close, honey. She says that she don't tell anyone. My family would have me locked up. I came about that close, sweetheart. Believe me when I tell you.
I mean, you think back in the day when like the lunatic asylum stuff like that. I mean, you can be committed for anything.
Rob
You talk
said that
about-
thousands of times. How many
Right.
people were committed for schizophrenia that may have just been hearing spirit?
Right.
How many are
Yep.
still in those same places? Okay, and no different with you guys. How many of you guys are empathic, or you know you're an empath, or you have some type of abilities that even more than just being an empath, but yet you've been diagnosed with anxiety, high anxiety, PTSD, blah blah blah,
Yep.
and a lot of that is actually circulated around this. I mean, if you go and you look at people in the talk about the shrinks for a minute, if you actually look at that field, they're split in half. Half of them believe in the paranormal, half of them do not. So
Yeah.
then you have to even go from there. It gets lower and lower. But we know we have dealt with people, and we can. There's no reason if you're on medication, you have something because it's so realistic. There's no reason that myself or somebody should be able to change you in seconds
Right.
when you've been dealing with this for years. There's no reason
Right.
for that. Now, we understand there's a placebo effect that can happen, you know, for certain things, but there's no reason that
It's
I
just-
put a necklace on you and you're perfectly sane, take the necklace off, and you're a perfect whack.
Right.
I mean, that's
Right.
honestly, I mean, I'm putting it
Right.
in, you know what I'm talking
Right.
about.
Yep.
I mean, somebody that can go
Perfect.
absolutely
I was waiting for you to say it that
out
way.
of there,
Yep.
but yet I put it on and they're perfectly normal.
Perfectly normal.
Right.
This,
Yep.
just like that. That's all it is. Are you telling me that the composition of that metal just made that person perfectly
Change?
normal? No.
But you'd be surprised to see that. I mean, it has worked. You get them and boom, nothing.
We have seen that actually happen to people,
Yep.
and it's just crazy. I mean, whether it's minutes, whether it's a half an hour, a couple of hours.
And because people can't explain it, they want to just ignore it or brush it off.
Yeah.
We've even been to locations where we sat down and we talked to the clients before we actually did the investigation. And by talking to people and getting their thought and trying to explain to them what may or may not be going on, they're totally fine and good before we even do the investigation.
Yeah, there's
Just to
there's
get their
definitely a
mindset of
change.
what, yes.
Yep.
And,
We've
and you
been,
watch people's body like behaviors.
I've seen Rob deal with real live people that say, oh, no. I know I have this, and this wrong with me because I've been to the doctor. I know that's what's wrong with me and nothing helps, not even the medications they've given me. Rob does a prayer over them, puts a metal on their neck, and they're completely different people. Even their family will say, I have not seen them act that way in years. That's the old one that I used to know. That's the person I used to know.
We did the one investigation where you're on the guy was sitting on the floor. You remember some of this was up in PA. The guy sitting on the floor, the girl was sitting there, you were sitting over there talking to him, and I was sitting in the chair watching him because I was watching his eye movements and stuff towards you because we thought at one point in time he was going to lunge at you.
At
Right.
you, yeah.
Right.
But just watching him sit there and fiddle and just, when Rob's trying to explain to him what's going on and stuff was really interesting to watch that and yep. And then all of a sudden, boom, once Rob talked to him, it was all okay
Right.
to a point.
Now, we understand there's going to be a mental, when you're dealing with somebody and giving information, I believe, I say knowledge is power. That's a big deal to me.
Yep.
When I can give a client or somebody who's experienced something and I can make them start understanding and they start believing in you, that's part of treating a location because you're treating the
Mhm.
client. When they can start believing in you and they can start relaxing, and because again, that's what they're having. Now they have faith in you. Okay, you know what you're talking about because
Right.
they've seen some of the stuff that's happened.
Right.
That's amazing by itself. But when you change somebody's complete behavior, you've got somebody who I come up and I'm on their side and they're panting like a dog and going absolutely
Literally
ballistic.
panting like a dog.
Absolutely. Screaming, I'm going to kill you or whatever.
Get away from me. Don't touch me. You would not believe.
Talk a different language, whatever. And then yet, once you get done and they've never done it again, never have any issues come over them, and you're not even around them anymore, and years go by, it's how quick. Before we go any farther, hang on. Charles, thanks for being on. But
Yep.
before we go
Thanks,
any
Charles.
farther, At no time are we saying to change your medication or anything like
No,
that.
not
Do
at all.
I am
No.
not. It's not
Not
suggesting
at
to change
all.
your medication.
Please follow your doctor's
I'm
instructions.
just saying, be aware. There's more possibilities out there.
To
Right.
it than just
Right.
yep.
What did Charles have?
Charles says, I don't know you guys, but I had a near-death experience years ago, and it's not easy to talk about, but there is a heaven for real.
Charles, I'm on the same page with you.
I agree, Charles.
What I say
Absolutely.
is, we don't sit there and push just Christianity.
Yeah, we don't want to
anything like
push
that.
religion on anybody because we both believe that this field can be apparent and active in anybody's life at any time, no matter what their religion is.
Yes, absolutely. Near-death experience, talked to a few people recently. Very often when you have a near-death experience, things do open. I had somebody was asking about whether or not Janie's had a near-death experience at the time when she was open. It was just it was natural for her progression. She woke up and there was people in the room looking just like, not like us, but they were dressed
Right.
as though it was real people in the room.
Right.
It took a little bit more when she saw another one, sitting by her grandmother, that she finally started realizing, oh my God, what it really was, which is pretty amazing. And Charles, anytime on our page, you are more than welcome to share your stories. You're more than welcome to talk about it. Anybody that believes they have abilities, or you have activity in your house, I'm not going to be telling you you're crazy. I'm not going to be
right.
I'm going to listen to what you have to say. We're going to listen to what you have to say. If we go on an investigation, I'm still going to be looking to verify it. And it's not to go ahead and say, oh, I don't believe it. What I still need to have, I'm looking for proof. I'm looking for something. But you can come to our page. There's a lot of teams on and people on the Things Network that you can actually talk to, which is what we're on right now, the platform, that want to hear your story. They want to hear what you have to say.
I would love to hear it. Absolutely. I would absolutely love to
We
hear
find
the
it
story.
interesting, crazy interesting to talk to people and hear their side.
But again, that's because you have to be a team and or a person that is not so close-minded that you're willing to explore every avenue of everything.
Chantel, to your point, there was a lot of people that were put in those wonderful little jackets that let them hug themselves 24/7. Look, we're not. The biggest thing I try to make to people understand is I for one am not judgmental. I don't care about your past. Your past is your past.
Right.
I've dealt with people and talked to people that are devil worshipers. I mean, that's their belief. And there's different levels of that. There's by far, just because somebody says they're into the demonic or whatever, everybody's definition of it definitely changes.
It's different.
I've had some that are definitely believe that. And matter of fact, I know in all sincerity, I know they're under possession and whatnot. And they're thriving on it. They want to be that way, but there's always a price to pay. But again, I'm not judging you for your choices. I'm just trying to be there to help you if you decide to change your choice or,
if you need help with what you've chosen.
Yes. Shay says, I never tag myself with a name. I just admit to seeing things. I don't care what someone would call it.
I never had a name till I met Rob, Shay.
And there's a lot of people, I mean, names. There's a lot of people that have like a billboard of.
My God, we know people that have a list of them as long as we are tall.
People get wrapped around titles, and you don't need to get wrapped around titles. You need to get wrapped around your confidence and not your cockiness. That's two different words. I know they both begin with C, but they're two different words. Yeah. Cockiness, I do not care for. I don't want to hear about you. Tell me about how good you are. I want you to show me how good you are.
Right.
And you don't even have to.
And if they can truly do it, they shouldn't have to tell you. They should be able to show you.
But for people who are developing and working on it, stop with the expectations. Stop with the expectations on yourself. Why do you think you have to be perfect or right every time? Stop.
I learned a long time ago not to do that. Like when you first started trying to pull me out of my box to get me to try different things with these abilities, I used to tell you all the time, Rob, I don't know if I can do that or not. I've never tried, but I'll try. Right. But if I can't do it, I don't want you to be disappointed. And Rob's always like, no, if you can't do it, that's fine. That's fine. I just want to try it. Let's see if you can.
At no time do I expect or tell Janie, hey, come on. No, you got to have something. You got to give me something.
Nope. He's never done that ever.
It shouldn't be for any one of you. And if you're doing a read, have you ever told anybody, look, I'm not getting anything that you're expecting
many times. I've had people get mad at me and hang up on me. Well, that's not what I wanted to get, or you didn't get anything. And I told you, I can't promise you. I don't get to speak to the people on the other side beforehand and say, okay, I want you to sit down, because these are the questions this person is going to want to ask you, and I'm going to need you to answer every one of them. I don't do that. I open a channel. Whoever comes through, comes through. Whatever information I get, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent, or nothing. That's what you get. I'm not going to make something up to stroke your ego or make you feel better about your life choices.
She has confidence in what she's giving. She's not putting it together for you. She's not painting a picture out of what she gets in her head, and then she goes, okay, this is how I feel they're trying to get this point over. She's telling it to a point, to even personality, where she has stepped into people's faces and said, stop it.
Yep.
Or talk to somebody
And sometimes
else.
that can come across to people as it's me saying it. Because I'm doing it and playing it out exactly the way this person is playing it out to me. But no, I'm not going to. And Rob never asked me to do that. Ever has he asked me to do that.
There's people that you scare. I mean, you intimidate because the way
Tom was afraid to touch me.
Kimberly. Was it Kimberly at the KOA?
That scared me.
That
scared Kimberly.
That scared Rob.
Well, you have to understand.
Right.
I've worked with Janie for a long time. I know things can affect a person. I've been hit before. Different things have happened to me before. I had team members that wanted to shove me down freaking stairs, not because I did anything to irritate them.
Just because they were being affected.
They were affected to a point where so when I see a different reaction come out of her that I'm not accustomed to, even though I've spent so many hours with her, I should know. But at this point, I'm always watching. That's something different. I'm always observing. I'm watching what's happening with each of my team members, trying to as much as possible. Mm-hmm. And when I see a different look come over her face, and then she moves in closer to somebody, and I'm like, oh my gosh, is she going to strike? Because I was like, Janie.
She did. He was
Janie,
like, wait a minute.
And then I'm moving towards her, like.
But again, we've never had anybody that you've introduced me to with the team or even outside of the team that I felt that strong of a connection to. Right. So you never got to see me react that way before. But my Kimberly, this one, her energy had such an impact on me that night. It was almost like that magnetic pull. I had to get closer to her. It was like, oh, I like her, Rob. He was like, oh, good. I thought that you were getting ready. I was like, no, I like her.
Finally got a local friend in the paranormal, and she's going to go ahead and beat her up.
Amazing is hearing about that and watching that. It's just the way you react with a lot of
people.
Oh,
well,
I'm telling you.
Before that, and again, this year we're going to do differently. I haven't put the camera on her live as we're moving. Now I've got a couple of video cameras so we can be a lot more mobile. And I want to capture a lot of that. And I was doing that. And I had just introduced her to Kimberly. This is the first time.
I had never seen the girl.
We start to walk inside the lower level of the KOA, and she stops and she turns around. She starts with that right to Kimberly. She goes, and who is Kenny? And she's like, my brother. And then she starts describing Kenny, his personality, the whole 9 yards. And it was obviously something there. Okay, that I'm used to. Right. Now I'm capturing
that.
This is cool.
To.
I'm good with that. But then when she got that, and then she's like, and then, I mean, it was like a delay. And then she's like, it's okay, Rob. I'm just reading her energy.
Because after I looked over, I could see the look on his face, like, don't you do that. And I'm like, Rob, it's all right. I'm just reading her. But I never had that kind of positive pull towards another living human being right off the bat like that. So that's why Rob was like that. He had never seen me react that way before because it's never happened to me before.
Right. Again, we have to always be willing to learn, and even learning your team members is more important than even learning your equipment, because you need to know certain things are going to happen. I know Chantel was talking about staying away from the negative. Great idea. If that's not your calling is not to be around negative and you can stay away from it, stay away from it. There's nothing wrong with that. I will never knock anybody from staying away from it. I don't blame anybody.
Thank you for joining, Gina.
Yeah, see you, Gina.
Have a good evening, honey.
Thank you, sweetie. Appreciate it. I don't blame anybody for not wanting to get involved in the negative, having to deal with the negative. I do appreciate those that help other people out when they can. And I'm not saying those that deal with the light do help people out. They push it. It's just a different avenue.
I got to add this, but please, please, please know where your strengths are and where they aren't. Because there are so many people that can help you with the negative. They come in, stir it up, and leave, and they haven't helped with anything. Know where to draw the line. Know what you can and cannot do. For instance, me, when we go on location, I can see, hear, and feel what's going on in this location. Just because I can see, hear, and feel it does not mean that I know how to deal with it. And just because I can see, hear, and feel it does not mean that it does not frighten me. Anybody who tells you it doesn't is full of poo. It does. You're still going to have those human emotions no matter what your abilities are. I go in and hear it, see it, and feel it, tell him and get the hell out. He takes care of it. You don't need to try to be something you're not. Know where your strengths are and where they aren't. I hear so many mediums and psychics say, I'm a medium, I'm a psychic. I got a list of names this long and I can do this, 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 and this. Really? Show me the proof. I want to see how many locations you've cleansed, because I've talked to a lot of people that said, had a medium come in, they said they could get rid of it, but they didn't, and they're calling Rob. Know where your strengths are and where they aren't, and don't be so arrogant that you have to act like you can do everything.
Jeremy's comment was the same thing. Also, check your ego at the door.
Yep.
Look, that couldn't be any more true as far as what Janie had just said. And even with the cleansing, we just did a show on the cleansing.
Yep.
And I still go on these groups and I hear, people are like, well, you need to go ahead and get a medium. You need to get a psychic, whatever, to go ahead and do the cleansing.
Wouldn't do you no good to call me, because I don't know how to do it. I'd call him.
For the most part, most people that are, the more open, the more abilities you have means you're also able to be attacked a lot easier.
Yep.
And I really haven't run across too many people that are very gifted, that are really on the attack, basically, because treating sometimes means you're attacking, in all sincerity.
Yeah.
Negative energy don't like when you're there. How many times have you been hit,
Oh my
scratched,
God,
pushed,
yes,
knocked
absolutely,
out, whatever?
absolutely.
It doesn't like the fact that you can see it and you're there to help make a change to it. It doesn't. Sorry. Fact of life.
Nope.
So you don't have to have abilities to help treat a location. You do have to have confidence. There's a difference. I can go into a location because I have extremely high faith.
Yeah.
I will sleep at a location that is.
And on the other hand,
most
just
haunted
because you have abilities does not mean you can treat a location.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because when Rob does cleansings, if I'm with him, I assist him in the physical way. I'll go through and open cabinet doors for him, open cupboard doors for him, open closets for him in front of him as he's doing his cleansing. I'm not helping him with the cleansing. I'm helping him get through the physical barriers that he needs to have opened for that. And I think people misunderstand that a lot, because I had people say to me, well, I see you before on lives helping Rob with the cleansing. No, I'm not. I'm helping him to open doors because he's got his hands full of stuff. I'm not helping with the actual cleansing. I wouldn't have a clue how to do
we're
that.
doing that, or we're going behind you, make sure there's no hot spots
Right.
from the sage.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right.
But yeah.
But I can't, that's a big pet peeve for me. Everybody assumes because you have abilities, you can do cleansings and stuff. No, I can't.
When you go to treat a location, you definitely, it's no different than abilities. With abilities, confidence is your key to growing your abilities. Confidence. Again, not cockiness, confidence. And the more you try to fake and say, hey, you knew this, you knew whatever, and you really didn't, you're backtracking.
I started to say, and be completely honest about what you can and cannot do, because you're eventually going to be put on the spot to prove it.
Yes. Even to yourself. I mean, again, don't cheat yourself. If you work on the confidence, not worry about the title, worry about building your confidence, you'll get stronger. Most people will get stronger. Some people will only be an empath. You'll never get these other bits and pieces of information, much less be able to string them along, understand what they mean or anything like that. People get wrapped up on the pictures that they see. Well, guess what? No different than dreams. Most of it's symbolic. Most of it's not what you see.
Yep.
A lot of it is symbolic, and a lot of people can't get their hands wrapped around that. And so somebody who is more open, that can see or feel, is going to see or feel that negative energy. If you're treating a location, it's like you said, you guys can look at the pictures behind us. It's just a picture. If it was real, actually really happening, and you have no different than Civil War, something exploding, are you going to duck and move? Sure you are.
Yeah.
For me, it's just a picture that I've seen now afterwards. For her, it's really happening.
It's there. It's real.
What's going to be more terrorizing, to her or to me?
No, because we've had things that scared me completely out of a building, and you're down there still saying, am I touching it yet? Am I touching it yet? I hate that.
I told you I like that. Got a live panel investigations reserved for Saturday nights on the network, and it's open to any of all teams, network or not. And if you ever want to participate in that, when your team does a case, let me know. That would be cool. That would be
That would
really
be
cool,
cool.
Jeremy. I appreciate that very much.
Guys, I've got to go because I really have to go to the bathroom. I've drank this whole thing full of coffee
We
twice.
got one. We'll go one more minute just to make
Okay.
her suffer.
Okay, if you want to do one more minute, I'll hold it. But if I pee on your leg, it's your fault.
All right, guys, we're gonna get ready. You can go ahead and go.
I do that pee for real.
I like terrorizing her in every way we could possibly
Oh, my
can.
goodness.
So it's fun.
Look at these chicken boots carry my butt to the bathroom.
She is. Don't fall. She's falling up the stairs. She really did have to.
Yeah.
Jeremy, thank you so much again.
Thank you, Jeremy.
For any of you guys, we thank you so much for hanging out with us. We're gonna go ahead and get wrapped up here. Samantha says she loves those chicken boots. That's so cute.
Yeah.
Awesome conversation. We definitely appreciate it. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Chantel, thank you so much for
Amber.
participation. I can't even say it at this point. Love it. Amber, poor Jay. Yeah, it always comes over that way, but we have a panel of two to four people. There's a team that's doing the investigation. Panel helps with the investigation. They also provide commentary for the investigation. It's something different.
Yeah.
Definitely something different. So, guys, we're out of here. We sincerely appreciate it. If you need anything, just hit us up. We'll do what we can. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Guys. See you.
And we're still showing us being alive. All right, we're going to try to end the broadcast again. We'll see if it actually works this time. Nope, not yet.